A few years ago, I was standing outside my son's school early one morning after dropping him off. I'd just finished texting a work colleague about some urgent matter when a four-wheel drive pulled up and a glamorously dressed and beautifully coiffed woman got out, clutching a folder. She stood a few metres away, pulled out a smartphone and tapped out a text message. A few moments later, a short, skinny boy in school uniform sauntered up to her. "Here it is, darling," the woman said, proffering the folder to the boy, who was clearly her son. The schoolboy, not more than 13 years of age, took one look at the folder and said loudly, "That's the wrong one, you stupid hag. I needed my maths folder. Now I'm up shit creek and it's all your fault." The woman looked close to tears as she stuttered, "But Simon, darling, I thought you said English. I did tell you to check your bag before you got in the car. I had to cancel an appointment to get this to you." Simon regarded his mother with an expression of utter contempt and said, "You're just bloody hopeless. Just rack off." Then he turned and walked away. Up until this point, she had not even noticed that I was standing there, but now she realised that this rather unpleasant exchange had transpired in front of an audience of one, me. I don't know if she knew who I was, but as an adolescent psychologist, I had been invited many times to speak at the school. She looked mortified and said to me apologetically, "He's been under a lot of stress lately." She then scurried back to her car and drove off. Now, I don't actually care how much stress little Lord Fauntleroy had been under. I can think of no circumstance under which it would be acceptable to speak to any human being like that, let alone one's loving mother. In my work as a psychologist, I spend a great deal of my time watching parents and their sons, and I firmly believe that what I witnessed that day outside the school is on the rise. Can I prove it? I can tell you that in my trips all over Australia, New Zealand and Asia, teachers have told me that this behaviour is increasingly common. Do I have the results of a double-blind, randomised controlled trial of thousands of families? No. But as someone who works extensively with young people and their families, and is privileged to be invited to schools across Australia, I can tell you that this is real. When I wrote the Princess Bitchface Syndrome in 2006, this type of disrespectful, contemptuous, ungracious behaviour seemed more common among a small subsection of teenage girls that I worked with. But by the time I wrote its new edition in 2016, this behaviour now seemed to have spilled over to boys. And while they are not as verbal or vitriolic as their sisters, they are physically stronger and can be terrifying in their anger, especially when it's directed towards their mothers, as it so often is. The trouble with boys like Simon is that they have been brought up to see the world as one giant personalised, all-singing, all-dancing, 24/7 catering service exclusively for them. Simon's behaviour is not surprising, given that his boorishness has probably been tolerated throughout his childhood, along with the fact that he has likely never been challenged when he refuses to take out the rubbish bins, pick up the dog poo, or stack the dishwasher. Too many of today's parents exhaust themselves trying to make their sons' lives easy by doing things that he can do for himself, leaping in to fix his problems, handing him every single opportunity on a plate, and being his full-time cheerleader. All of these are the ingredients required for a self-absorbed boofhead, as one parent told me. I believe that the child-centred parenting movement, while an understandable response to the cruel, authoritarian parenting practices of the past, has swung too far in the opposite direction. We have become too terrified to say no, to set limits and enforce consequences in case we damage